Hey guys, my name is Andrew Henderson from Nomad Capitalist, nomadcapitalist.com, and in this brief video I'm going to talk about exactly what costs you should expect to pay when going through a citizenship by investment process. A lot of folks are looking for a way to get a fast second passport. They don't want to wait. They want to speed the process up by making a donation, investing in real estate, investing in bonds, investing in a business, or going through any number of other channels to get one of these so-called economic citizenships in a matter of months. And there's a lot of information out there on the internet. I often talk about how there's so much information you can drown in it. But I want to talk about what you should expect beyond the sticker price of the actual passport that you are investing in. We have videos here on our channel. I definitely recommend you subscribe, where we talk about the whole citizenship by investment process, my experience with this process, as well as many of the different programs that are out there. Some of these include Dominica, where you donate $100,000, other countries in the Caribbean, all the way up to Malta and Cyprus, where you invest 2 million euros. And so what people see is, okay, I can make a $100,000 donation to Dominica. They put that in their budget, and then they're surprised when there are other costs. So what are those other costs that you should expect? I'm mainly going to focus on the Caribbean programs, which are relatively straightforward, but you can extrapolate most of this to other programs, even if the other programs, for example, such as in Europe, are a bit more elaborate. The first thing that some countries have, in addition to the donation or investment, is a processing fee. Now, if you're making a donation, like in Dominica, you might say, well, why am I paying an application or a processing fee? Some countries will charge $1,000 or $2,000 for the entire application, or per person to process your application. So it's just an extra fee on top of the money that actually goes into the development fund coffers or into the investment. You should also expect to pay due diligence fees. These can range for someone with a low risk, anywhere from $5,000 to $10,000 generally. $7,500 is usually a rough number, but $10,000 sometimes to be on the safer side. If you're a couple, sometimes you get a discount on that, sometimes you don't. I don't deal as much with families. I deal with younger entrepreneurs, people who are newly married, for example. But I do know that children, you get a discount on those. And then you're also going to pay the legal fees. You need someone who's an approved agent. I am not an approved agent for these programs. What I do is the Nomad Capitalist, and as a consumer of these programs, in addition to someone who helps, is scout out who are the best people. So last year I was in Vanuatu, where they have a program, talking to different people, kind of figuring out who made sense and who didn't. I've been to conferences, I've hosted conferences, and you try and ferret out who's actually good. This is important because Neil Strauss, who I've interviewed before, he wrote a book called Emergency, where he got a passport in St. Kitts and Nevis. And he said that while he didn't have a problem, his lawyer was actually involved in, I believe, taking some people's money after his case. So had he been approved not that much longer, he might have lost his $400,000. So having the right agent is important. You're going to pay them a fee to process the paperwork. Then there are going to be miscellaneous fees, like a passport issuance fee. Some countries have been lowering these lately. Some of the countries kind of took advantage, charging $1,000 or $2,000 to expedite your passport. That still exists, I think, in one or two cases. And there are occasional little other sundry costs. One of the things that I find frustrating as a consumer of this, and one of the things that I've made an effort to change when I work with people and help them get these passports, is normally you go to one of these agents and they say, please pay, whatever the amount is, and then they hand you a stack of paperwork. Some of the paperwork can be like this thick. I mean, I actually was going through one of the programs once and I postponed it because I was traveling too much. It was just impossible to keep up with this never-ending barrage of paperwork. And I asked myself, I said, you guys have all my information. Why can't you help me? Oh no, we don't do that. So I like to help people with the paperwork, because to me that's the worst part of the equation. One of the other costs you should be aware of, if you're not going to be making a donation, if you're going to be investing in government bonds, if you're going to be investing in real estate, or something like that, particularly in the Caribbean countries. You're also going to have to make an extra payment to the government, again, kind of a processing fee, in exchange for allowing you to invest in real estate. So obviously if you make a donation to the government fund, they have your donation. If you're just buying real estate, yes, they're creating some jobs. Yes, they have a whole deal worked out with the developers in terms of, the developers pay tax and, it's all approved and it helps the economy. But the government's not really getting direct money. So they'll say, hey, pay us $25,000 or pay us $50,000. Or, in some cases, it was like $100,000 for a family in addition to the real estate. And they could do this because there are a lot of folks out there who believe that buying the real estate is more valuable, because the real estate, you can use it, you can hold on to it, you can resell it after a certain amount of time in the future. And so people wanted the real estate option, and the government wanted to make sure that they were getting money in their own coffers. A lot of the countries are starting to lower those fees now, just because of an ongoing price war in the islands. So that's something to be aware of, and to definitely look at those fees very closely. I've got a whole separate video on donation versus real estate. If you check it out here on our channel, I go through my thoughts there in detail. But that's a breakdown of the fees that you should be aware of. Basically, like I said, it's kind of professional fees, it's due diligence fees, it's the miscellaneous little costs that nickel and dime and add up here and there, 500 here, 2,000 there. Those add up depending on the country. And then depending on the option, there may be additional government fees that you need to pay. So, all that is worthwhile going through when you're trying to figure out which of these passports is best for you. If you're new to the idea of citizenship by investment, I definitely recommend you look at all the different programs, as well as programs you may not be aware of. There may be a way to get a residence that allows you to get a passport not that much longer after one you would pay for. And so to me, it's worth evaluating all the options. We have a lot of videos here on our channel where we discuss all the ins and outs of second passports. I would encourage you to subscribe. If you are pretty ready to go with this, we've got more advanced strategies and an offer for help on our website, nomadcapitalist.com, and we encourage you to go there as well. Definitely find the best second passport for you. And it may be a matter of 2 second passports for you. It may be a matter of creating a portfolio. And again, we cover that in other videos, but if you're aware of the costs, then you can create a total strategy to accomplish your goals, solve the things that made you want a second passport in the first place, rather than just buying a piece of paper.